Welcome to our next episode of the Soul in Business and Life Show. I am so excited today because my guest today, she has changed my life. I met her 3 years ago, and she did a session with me of the timeline, which is part of Neuro Linguistic Programming. And that changed who I am. I was just starting my business at that time. And I truly believe that I wouldn't be where I am today if my guest didn't do the work with me. So I'm very, very honored to welcome guest for today, Lynn Robinson. Lynn has been helping companies and individuals to achieve breakthrough performance in their lives and their businesses for over 20 years. She's certified master trainer of Neuro Linguistic Programming and has been teaching courses internationally in the UK and US as well as in Canada. And she truly is a model for what she teaches. She has built 2 successful businesses, and when faced with cancer for the second time, she healed her body using the skills and techniques she shares with others. So impressive, such a great, great achievement. And Lynn's purpose is to help raise the consciousness on the planet through her work. She believes that if we can truly be conscious of our thoughts, our words, and our actions, we will be able to make a positive difference in the world. Lynn, welcome. I'm so happy to have you here today.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here.
Yes, you know, truly, I don't know if I ever told you enough, but you did change my life and you did help me to get courage and just remove whatever wasn't working for me. I actually don't even know what we were doing, what you've done with me at that time. I just know I was not the same person anymore. And that was extraordinary.
Well, thank you. I am so glad. Sometimes you don't get to know the difference that you can make. And truly with what you're doing right now, your work, that's so important. So I'm so grateful that we work together.
Well, thank you so much. So Lynn, would you please share your story? Why Neuro-Linguistic Programming? Why are you doing what you're doing?
Oh my goodness. I guess I really have been drawn. Something happened to me when in 89. And I actually was diagnosed with cancer at that time. And I had a very interesting experience, which at the time I really almost wrote off, but now I would call it an awakening. And so what ended up happening is I had surgery, and when I came out of my surgery, I was in this place of bliss. I was so happy. I just wanted to hug everybody, and it was just the most amazing experience. And I said to myself, I want to live my life like this. I want to stay here. This is good. And a little voice inside my head said, well, that's great. Everybody says that. But if you do want to, then you're going to have to work at it. And I honestly believe from that point on, I have just been on this path. And in the beginning, it was a fast track because my life was not at all what it looks like now. I was in a very dysfunctional relationship, and my life was just completely different. And through that, I just began on this path. And Neuro Linguistic Programming was one of the main things. I actually got into that because I was a sales trainer at Yellow Pages. And so I took it to help the salespeople, and then fell in love with the model and began to see, well, I can do a lot more than just help people make sales. I can help them change their life. And then I started my own company, and here we are.
And so you actually healed yourself, correct?
Yes, yes.
With the help of NLP?
Yes. So I feel I've been guided in my life. I get insight, or these little voices that's, kind of nudges me on. And so when I was diagnosed the second time, it was very scary. And, I didn't really know how to handle it because, again, I had already been through it. And yes, I was alive, and still it was pretty scary. And so my doctor wanted me to have surgery and then do the regular protocol. So I had the lump removed. I did have that. But then they wanted me to go back in the hospital get a lot more surgery, and they wanted me to have radiation, chemotherapy, all the regular protocols, which are fine for some people, by the way. I feel we all have our own path. But again, that little voice inside me said, you know, you say you believe in the body-mind connection and the strength and the power we have within us. Okay, here's your chance. How much do you really believe that? And so I decided that if I didn't use all the skills I had to heal my body through the processes that I share with others, I honestly didn't feel I could get up in front of an audience again and ever speak the way I had, because where would my belief have been had I not used it on myself? So that's what motivated me.
Wow, that's incredible, really incredible achievement. What do you think is instrumental for people to be able to heal? I mean, you've done it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But as you said, you had that voice. Do you really believe in this?
Yes. Yeah.
What do you think is the difference between someone that's able of spontaneous healing and someone that's not?
Well, I think first of all, you have to desire it. So you have to truly want to heal your body. And then I think it does come down to beliefs, honestly.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, if you don't believe it's possible, and I'm not saying that just the instant I decided I then believed, you know, I still was on some level afraid, but I knew I made the right choice. But I dedicated myself to healing. So you have to also be willing to dedicate yourself. So I had a vision of myself in the future. So I could see myself, honestly, I can still see it to this day, sitting on a lanai in Hawaii with my family all around me and holding a great-grandchild.
Wow.
Because that meant I obviously lived to a ripe old age, because my granddaughter was only 3 at the time. So that vision, I would wake up and I would see that. That's what was my inspiration, to know I had to heal my body to be able to live that. I did visioning to, I actually have my own audio that is to heal your body, which I made for someone else. And I think, honestly, I made it for me.
Wow.
So I listened to that every day. So it was a process again to just give positive thoughts to my body, to imagine being healthy. And really, again, it goes back to that deep desire. But I also had to make sure I had no beliefs that were playing beneath the surface. So even though you said you don't really remember what we did, a lot of what we did was look at beliefs that were unconscious that could limit you in your success in your business. I had to do the same for me with my health. Was there anything inside of me that believed that I couldn't heal my body, and had to release that? So, and it's interesting because one of the first things that I noticed was that I had a belief that cancer means death. And I thought, that's not going to serve me. So that was the first belief that I had to eliminate, because that would have worked against me.
Yes.
So that's, you know, really, it was a constant focus. So when I say consciousness being an important part, I truly had to be conscious of every thought I had. I had to be conscious of every word I spoke, and I had to consciously make choices to really create a healthy body.
Wow, that's amazing. It is about being conscious. Yes, I truly believe that. And would you agree that people are not aware enough? What does that really mean? Let's say just the way they use I am statements, right?
Yes.
I'm stupid, or I am this.
Yes.
It's negative. I don't even want to repeat that anymore.
No.
I know how much it affects us,
Yes.
right? In such a creative force. So what do you think about this?
Well, I think that, again, I think that people are, in this moment, the bottom line is people are very, very stressed. And they're striving. And I think, again, we've been inundated with what we should have. So many people in our profession, really, are suggesting that everybody should be a millionaire. Everybody should make 6 figures, 7 figures. And so if people aren't, they feel there's something wrong with them. So they're striving, and they're striving for things. And so without realizing it, they're putting themselves under so much stress that they don't pay attention to the small things and the small choices that they make. And I think moment by moment, how we treat people. We have people that say they want to be a good, kind, conscious person. However, they don't stop and really monitor their behavior. They don't monitor how they treat people everywhere.
Yes.
We're a society that only thinks of big things. What are the big things I want? But what if you really thought about everything you said, so that every interaction you have with another human being, you want it to be a positive experience? To do that, you have to be conscious.
Yes.
Pay attention, right? What are the choices you make minute by minute as you go about your day?
Yeah, and that is so beautiful. And, you just reminded me of something as you were talking about kindness. And so I know that you and your daughter, Melanie, she's your business partner, you're working together, and you two have such a beautiful relationship. And I heard you speaking at the Magnificent You conference, which, by the way, was such a captivating talk. Like, I was glued to the seat and all ears. Really. And I remember you saying how you see children. And would you share this with our audience? Because that's so remarkable.
Well, somehow I do honestly feel I've been guided all my life. And I think at some point I was just made very aware that children are beautiful human beings, souls just like adults. They just arrived here a little later than us. But I really have always felt they deserved respect. So as much as I wanted respect, I truly respected them as beautiful little beings, that they had valuable things to show me and teach me. So I don't know if you remember, when I speak, sometimes I just speak and I have no clue what I've said. So if you remember anything more of what I said, that's basically how I feel.
Yeah, no, this was exactly the point that I wanted you to repeat, because it's so important for people to understand this. I also believe the same thing. I could not put it in beautiful words like you, but I do believe that there's great wisdom in children, and quite often they're a lot wiser than adults, and it's really important to listen to them.
Yes, yeah.
So,
go ahead.
No, just finish the thought.
Well, I was just going to say that really, I think, again, that goes with, a lot of it has to do with the stress that adults are under. And I think until we do something to really shift ourselves internally so that we can truly appreciate what we have in our life and treasure every moment of our children. I mean, obviously mine are adults and I have grandchildren. Before you know it, your children are gone. Well, not gone. I don't think they ever go. That's the truth. But that time when they live with you and they're there and you can influence them and love them and they can love you. I mean, I think we're missing out on the most important things in life because of all the materialistic bombardment we have. We're being hypnotized into thinking that's what we should have, and there's something wrong with us if we don't.
Yeah, and that is true. I actually did catch myself last year being caught in this achieving the goals, and then I became very stressed out, and then I stepped back and said, is this what's important in my life? And I realized, no, I'm already happy. I have what I need. I have my children. I have a great relationship with them. I have a place to stay, to live in, right? So what's missing? Nothing. I got food in the fridge, right?
Yeah.
What we need is here. What's causing stress is what we still want, despite the fact that we already have what we need.
Right.
Yeah. So, and how does, because I know you're doing a lot more things than just linguistic programming, right? You are also certified to teach color therapy, Reiki, yoga, hypnosis. How do you combine all this in your work?
Well, it's interesting. So at the moment, I'm not really combining them the way I used to. So as we said, kind of offline, I really miss those things. So I came from the corporate world, and then when I got that insight, again, when I said about the awakening, I honestly believe that during the anesthetic, I believe I went somewhere and honestly was shown something to remind me what I had agreed to do on this planet. And I think that, so once that happened, I was on this fast track. So I ended up learning Reiki. I do crazy things. So I don't do anything the way you're supposed to. So I spontaneously, if something appeals to me, I do it. So I ended up going off to Switzerland to do a crystal healing course. And when I was going, a friend said, "Oh, I think you would probably like this color therapy." I had no clue what it was. It was in England. Oh, well, that's pretty close to Switzerland. So I signed up for a color therapy course in England. So I went off to England and ended up doing the color therapy. And when I was there, they asked me to be the distributor for Canada and to become a teacher for them. And everything just, again, as I say, moved very, very quickly. So I fell in love with that. I fell in love with the Reiki. I ended up taking Reiki level 1. And honestly, I didn't even know what it was. I saw the word on a board and I was attracted to the word. And I literally, that was my first introduction to Reiki, was Reiki level 1. And then, of course, my path seems to be that I then become a teacher of whatever I learn. So there was a time when I did teach all of these things, and it was incredible. And my husband and I, and again, one day he came home from work and I said, "Oh, we're going to Hawaii for the next year." And he's like, pardon? Now, my friend needed somebody to watch her business while she was going on a sailing cruise. And I thought, "Hey, well, we can do that." He's like, "Well, what are we going to do with our house?" I was on my way to England to do a course, and I thought, well, surely somebody in England is going to want to rent my house in Canada. It's so beautiful. Sure enough, we had somebody who rented our house, so off we went to Hawaii. So we spent a lot of time doing huna and just magical, magical things. So go ahead. You have a question?
No, I'm just observing and listening to what you're saying. And I'm like, wow, look what happens when you just follow your intuition, when you're not overthinking, which people are doing, right?
Yes.
They know, oh, if I take this course, this is awesome, this speaks to me. But then they go, yeah, but it costs so much, or this, maybe it's not the right timing. And they talk themselves out of it and are missing opportunities. You, on the other hand, did the other way around.
Totally.
Let's do this, let's do that. You just followed without knowing what it is. And look what it brought into your life.
Yeah.
You're one of the happiest people I know.
I know. I really have never felt that I fit, because even when I started my business, I had no money. I had no business plan. I just really loved what I was doing, working with the salespeople, doing the NLP that I mentioned. And I just thought, I've got to go and do more of this. So I literally, and when I came back from England, from color therapy, I decided I would quit my job. And I quit the day I got back, because I knew if I waited, I might not, because I had a very, very good job. So I quit my job, decided to start my business, and just jumped. And I had nothing behind me. Somebody said to me, "Aren't you concerned that there are so many people doing what you do?" And I thought, oh, I didn't even know there was, because I did no research. I did nothing that you're supposed to do. I just loved what I did, and I really just wanted to share it. And it didn't even occur to me that I wouldn't be successful. I didn't think of success or failure. I just wanted to do what I wanted to do. And same with the color therapy. I said I would do it and I would be a teacher for them.
Yeah.
Somebody was supposed to come from England. This all happened around the same time. Supposed to come from England to do a course. And it ended up that she couldn't come. And so they asked if I would be interviewed and do the course. And I got a full spread in, oh gosh, I can't remember the name. It was a magazine that used to be around. Anyways, had full spread in this magazine, and it just launched the color therapy business for me. So everything just flowed.
Wow.
So that's kind of, so I did all those things together at one time. And then I got the sense, okay, it was kind of 5 years I worked within that realm. And then about 5 years in, again, the little voice said, okay, I think you need to get back to corporate. You need to go do some good work there and, you know, help people change at that level. So then I went back to corporate and I've been doing corporate. But I yearn for those, to do those again. So maybe it's going to be time.
I believe you. I truly believe you, because it is so beautiful to work with people and to see that change. So, but what about the corporate work that you've done? What is it exactly about?
So we do leadership training, but it's all modeled after NLP. So we have, we always do the mindset first. So there's an element of mindset. So to help people really recognize their thoughts and how those impact their results. Obviously I'll give you a very shortened version. Second element is always communication. So then how do you communicate your ideas and how do you build relationships and so on. And then the final one is how do you coach other people and presentations and so on. So it's kind of the full gamut. And what we generally do is, I worked with Hydro as an example for 2.5 years with one of their divisions. And so I get very intimate in terms of the organization or the group so that I become one of the team. So Mel and I just, again, are working, we just completed a 2-year contract. So, so then who knows what's next. But, you know, we worked with the senior executives on their team, and same thing, so more in depth. And then we worked with their direct reports and then everyone in the company to change the culture. So our purpose is really to help people ultimately be kind to each other, to recognize that the way to relieve some of the stress is, number one, to think about it in a different way. And number two is to really recognize that communication is a skill. It truly makes an amazing difference. And if you can have a whole organization doing that, it's a beautiful transition. And even from the perspective of a practical perspective, this company, they had a very high attrition rate before we came in. Mel and I have been there 2 years. And honestly, I don't know, I think one person maybe has left in the time that we shifted the culture.
Wow, that's incredible. I've noticed that it seems like your keyword is, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like kindness truly is the keyword. You mentioned it several times today.
Yeah, it's interesting because Mel and I have talked, and we talk about, gee, wouldn't it be great if instead of positioning ourselves the way we have in business, that we could just go in and be kindness experts, you know, because really it's our heart. That's what we really, really care about. Our motivation for teaching everything we teach is really to help people be kind.
So when people are kind, or kindness itself,
mm-hmm.
What does it mean? I mean, I know it's, you know, being nice to people, but what is it really, the gist, the purpose? What is kindness about?
Well, I mean, gosh, I've never really analyzed it or thought about it in this way. To me, what it means is that we're respectful of other people, that we pay attention to their needs, not just our own. So I always look at it kind of from a communication perspective, because sometimes what will happen is we'll be so into ourselves that we don't recognize the response that we're getting from the other person. So maybe we've offended them and we didn't mean to, but if we aren't paying attention, then we may not respect them, or we may not be kind, but not because we're a careless person. We just aren't paying attention. And I think, again, everything goes back to you have to deeply desire to do that and be that.
Mm.
And when we're caught up in ourselves, then it's not that easy to really pay attention to other people.
That's right.
So that's it. To me, it's respect, and it's treating people the way they need to be treated. And it means that when you walk away from that person, you have a good feeling.
Mm.
Even though you can not even agree on a topic. But if there's kindness and respect within that conversation, you can walk away feeling really good, no matter what that outcome was.
Interesting. Yeah, true. Lynn, I have no doubts you live your life totally on purpose. What do you think people can do for those that are not there yet, but would want to be? Where can they start?
Well, I think that really it's important to have the commitment first. Like if you believe that life is just meant to be hard and people don't get along and it's just the way it is, it's a struggle, well, you're not likely to be able to make any changes, right? So you have to first, I think, decide you want your life to be different. You have to decide that you want to have a purposeful life, that you want to be a kind person. So what's your purpose? And you could call it your vision, but really your vision comes from your purpose. So what is your purpose? How do you see your purpose playing out? That's where the vision comes in. And then one big piece is, who are you as a person? Who are you at the core? What are the qualities and characteristics that you embody? And what are the ones that you would like to embody that would allow you to be the person you want to be? I think, again, people skip through who am I at a deep level.
True.
And then the next piece is, okay, how do you behave? If you're willing to monitor yourself, so if you say this is your purpose, if you say this is who you are, then what you just said or did, does that represent who you said you want to be?
Very good advice. Really, thank you for the advice. And it's true, like people have to ask, who do they want to be? What kind of person they want to be? What do they embody? Just like you said, I think those qualities are really important, right? You cannot live your life on purpose if you're not congruent with who you are, if you're not respectful, kind, as you said. It's very difficult.
Yes, and to monitor it, it does take commitment.
Yes.
So you have to be willing to monitor yourself and notice. And hopefully before you even open your mouth. Because one of the things that Mel and I always talk about is, before you say something, you want to ask yourself, is there any positive purpose in what I'm about to say or do? So that's one little thing that people could just hold within themselves. It's very easy to remember, is what I'm about to say or do, is there any positive purpose in that?
Great advice. Really, truly great advice. Lynn, I just want to ask you another question here that's a little bit off of what we're talking right now, but it's so important. You and Melanie are also having a Life Without Regrets company, right? So that's, again, different than the corporate one.
Yes. So we started that, oh gosh, I can't remember, a couple of years, I think it was 2012. And we started Life Without Regrets when we realized that we were really blessed with our lives, with our relationship, with our lives, we felt so grateful that we wanted to help women to really be the best they could be. And to truly find that inner peace and that congruent way of being, which was, we started a process really, which was looking at their purpose, looking at their identity, who they are as a person, their values, their beliefs, their behaviors, the capabilities they have, and their environment. So we kind of looked at their whole life in those areas, and then from that, what works, what doesn't work, what needs to be released in terms of beliefs that are limiting them, what emotions are there that are actually stopping. So that's one thing we haven't really talked about. That's a big part of our work, is truly releasing the emotions. So literally, you walk out of a session honestly with those emotions completely neutralized. And once they're neutralized, then you can respond in a respectful way. Then you can respond in a way that's aligned with you, because literally there's no buttons left for someone to push.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
So that was why we started.
Yeah, and so this is the work with women, right?
Yes.
Only. And so here's my question to you. I'd just like to see your opinion on this one. There's lots of people, right, that are focusing on women, right? Workshops for women, events for women.
Yes.
Let's say at my course right now, it just happened so there were only women, and it was different energy in the room than normally when both of them are men and women. And you are focusing in this Life Without Regrets as well on women. Why do you think, I mean, I have my answer, but I want to hear yours.
Okay.
Why do you think it is so important now? I mean, I know there were centuries of oppression of women, right? But what is the most important thing? Why women need to step up today?
Well, that's very interesting question. I don't know if I have a really good answer, because I love working with men as well, by the way. So the only time is within Life Without Regrets. It's the only place that we work only with women. But I think that, I guess, as I say, we wanted to do it just because we see so many women struggling.
Yes.
And I do think that, you know, it was only from that. I don't think it's like, I know I have a friend who really wants to empower women, and that's a really important part, and the Dalai Lama saying that women, you know, are really going to heal the world, that kind of thing. But I have to say, honestly, ours was strictly, we felt so blessed that we wanted other women to feel whole and peaceful and not be pulled in a direction that everyone else is saying you need to go. And that's what we see most, is women going in a direction, struggling to achieve something that they don't even care about achieving, but they feel they should. So ours was quite personal. So what is yours?
Well, you know, for the longest time, I didn't pay attention to this because I work with men and women as well. I don't focus just on women, even though majority of my clients are women. The percentage is significantly different on the scale for men and women. But what I've started paying attention to, and I actually said to one of my friends that's also having her workshop, I said, maybe we should do something just for men, because it feels like men are left out, because everything's for women, nothing for men. We should do that too. But I think that the reason why women are stepping up so much as they are right now is because of our intuitive abilities that are a little bit more expressed in a feminine side than masculine, and that there is this compassion and kindness and all of this stuff, basically, you mentioned before, that perhaps women can bring in a different way to this planet and express it maybe more than men would, because they're more rational. As you know, the left brain is more active in men, right? And so I believe that maybe this is why we have to step up a little bit more. It's not to say women are more important than men. No, I think we work great together and that we need both parts. It's just, it's time that we bring this emotional compassion and intuition into existence as well.
And I totally agree with that. I think that, again, there is so much disharmony in the world that if we can collectively as women really, instead of trying to bring the masculine side forward to get ahead in the world, if we instead really trusted and developed our feminine side, which is really just, again, that softer, it doesn't mean to sit and be walked all over or not stand up for yourself, but it's not a pushback, it's a strength. So when I did color therapy, the color for women, or not, well, feminine wisdom was like a lime green, because it's yellow, so that's solar plexus, which is power, and then it's the green of the heart. And so by merging those two, that's the feminine power.
Wow, that's beautiful.
So I always imagine like a pillar within and that color when I think of the feminine stepping forward, being strong in our power, not pushing, simply very strong in who we are.
Oh, that's beautiful. So lime green.
Yes. Yes.
Great. What other colors are important for us? Maybe if we want to calm down, what color could we think about or visualize?
Well, I mean, blue is calming. It's also communication. Turquoise is creative, our creative energy. So again, if we want to go inside and connect to that, I think that brings us peace when we can trust that creative, intuitive piece. And then, of course, violet is a higher vibration, which is very calming as well. Yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
So, yes, it's kind of the chakras, right? As you work your way up. Yeah. Yeah, it was very fun doing that. It was very insightful. I used to do readings, actually.
Oh.
So if you ever come to my office, I still have a set of bottles where we can play if you'd like to play.
Absolutely. I'm always for a good game, especially when it has a meaning. So absolutely. Yeah. Well, thank you, Lynn, for sharing your wisdom and your story. This was such an inspiring conversation. And I know that our listeners will have so much value listening to this and knowing that they can heal, that there's something they can do. It's really about changing the beliefs. Is there any last thought or advice that you may have for our listeners?
I don't think so. I think really I've said everything. I just think that, again, there has to be a commitment. There does have to be a trust in yourself. We have to start trusting ourselves. And I think that it's important too to really look for ways to eliminate the beliefs and the emotions. I think people just try to push them down or to do affirmations to negate them, but that doesn't do it at that deep level. So truly source out some way to really remove those beliefs, because you cannot go any farther if you don't believe in yourself, believe in the world, believe in other people. You cannot go any farther. So, just look for someone that you can work with, that you truly feel can help you move to the place that you honestly want to be.
Absolutely. Beautiful. So believe, that's the word. Thank you, Lynn. And where can our listeners find out more about you? Is there any website or Facebook page or anything like that?
Oh, definitely not Facebook. We do have a Facebook page, but we're not very social media active. But we do have lifewithoutregrets.ca. And we have the Robinson Group as our corporate website. And so the robinsongroup.ca and lifewithoutregrets.ca is the personal side of things. And I don't know if anyone will be listening now or, if it'll be applicable what I'm about to say. But one thing that I really just came to my mind is that a lot of basically the courses that we've been offering, people have been able to get the government grant to work with us, which means 2/3 of the training is paid for by the government. Just in great gratitude, we happen to fit their criteria. So it's just something that might be helpful. I don't know how long that this is going to last. And by the time someone listens, this may be old news, but it just came to mind, so I thought it was important that I just mention it.
Wow, thank you for sharing this. Yeah, this is definitely important information that's going to help lots of people.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Lynn, for being here with us today.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I love our conversations and I can't wait till our next. It'll be offline, but I love our conversation. So thank you so much for having me. And you keep up your amazing work too. What you're doing is really important and you're just doing an amazing job.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you, Lynn.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.